here are the group members: Casey Ann Emeterio, Victor Angelo Castro, Lester Franco, Aaron John De Vera, Jen Anthony Tabajen, Reyna Lindul Dulao, and Aaron Bravo.
Good day, sir. So for this video, we will discuss wind turbines, its functions, and main parts. So bago ang lahat, ano nga ba ang wind turbine? Ang wind turbine ay isang machine na nagko-convert ng energy mula sa hangin papunta sa electrical energy. Ang hangin ay may natural na kinetic energy dahil sa natural nitong galaw sa atmosphere. Kapag tumama ang hangin sa blades ng wind turbine, nagsisimula itong umikot. Ang pag-ikot na ito ay nagge-generate ng mechanical energy. Ang mechanical energy ay ipinapasa sa generator upang makagawa ng kuryente o electrical energy. Ito ang basic working principle ng wind turbine. Simple ang concept, pero complex ang actual design. Mahalaga ang efficiency sa bawat stage ng conversion. Maliliit na losses ay may malalaking epekto sa output. Kaya carefully engineered ang bawat bahagi ng turbine. Ang wind turbine ay kabilang sa mga renewable energy technologies. Ibig sabihin, gumagamit ito ng energy source na hindi nauubos. Hindi tulad ng fossil fuel. Ang wind ay palaging available. Ano nga ba ang fossil fuel? Ang fossil fuel ay generic term para sa mga non-renewable energy sources tulad ng coal, coal wastes, coal products, natural gas, derived gas, crude oil, and petroleum products. Ang mga fuel na ito ay nagmula pa sa mga plants and animals that existed in the geological past, or for example, millions of years ago. Well, dahil dito, sustainable ang wind energy sa long-term use. Bukod dito, wala itong direct emissions tulad ng carbon dioxide o sulfur dioxide. Malaking tulong ito sa pagbawas sa air pollution. At nakakatulong din ito sa paglaban sa climate change. Kaya sinusuportahan ito ng maraming governments. Isa pang dahilan kung bakit mahalaga ang wind turbine ay ang mababang operating cost nito. Kapag na-install na ang turbine, hindi na kailangan ng fuel. Ang pangunahing gastos nito ay maintenance lang. Compare sa power plants na gumagamit ng coal or oil. Mas mababa ang running cost ng wind turbine. Nakakatulong ito sa mas murang electricity sa long-term use. Bukod dito, ang wind farms ay pwedeng i-scale depende sa demand. Pwedeng magdagdag ng turbines kapag kailangan. Kaya flexible ang wind energy systems. Ito ay advantage ng modern power grids. Dahil dito, patuloy ang development ng wind technology. So before we proceed any further, let's first get some insights on some of the important parts of the wind turbine. These are blades, nacelle, and tower. So first, blades. These are designed to capture the wind and convert it to rotational energy. Second is the nacelle, or ito yung enclosure kung saan nandoon yung generator and control systems. Ito yung housing or like streamlined container. Then last but not least is the tower. Ito yung sumusuporta sa buong structure. Ginagawa itong mas mataas upang maabot ang mas malalakas na hangin. Because the higher you go, the greater or the stronger the wind. Well, this phenomenon is primarily driven by the reduction of surface friction and changes in atmospheric stability and as altitude increases. So, ano nga ba yung mga friction na yon? Well, the ground, the trees, the buildings, the mountains, those can cause friction. So, mas mataas ang hangin, mas mataas ang energy potential. So, lahat ng parts ay interconnected. So, kapag may problema ang isa, maaapektuhan ang buong system. Kaya mahalaga ang tamang design at maintenance ng wind turbines. Because sama-sama sila bumubuo ng functional wind turbine.
Good day everyone! So far, na-discuss na natin kung ano nga ba ang wind turbine, ang main components nito, at paano siya nag-generate ng electricity. Now for my part, I'll focus on the heart of the interaction between wind and the turbine itself. The blades, their airfoil shape, blade aerodynamics, and how wind orientation affects the entire system. Because without proper blade design, a wind turbine is just a very tall decoration. Let's start with the wind itself. Wind is basically moving air with kinetic energy. And the job of a wind turbine is not to stop the wind, but to borrow a small portion of its energy. The blades are just the only part of the turbine that directly interacts with the wind itself. So everything depends on how well they are designed. Now if you look closely at a wind turbine blade, mapapansin nyo na hindi lang siya flat. Its cross-section is shaped like an airfoil, similar to an airplane wing. This shape has a curved upper surface and a lower surface that is way flatter. This design is intentional because it allows the blade to generate lift and reduce the drag. Now on the topic about lift and drag, we know that most people think na umiikot ang blade kasi tinutulak ito ng hangin. But in reality, lift is the main force that causes rotation. As the wind flows over the airfoil, air moves faster over the curved top and slower underneath. This creates pressure difference, resulting in lift force perpendicular to the wind direction. That lift force causes the blade to rotate around the hub. So instead of fighting the wind, the blade uses aerodynamics. Now let's talk about the blade aerodynamics. Wind turbine blades are twisted, tapered, thicker near the hub and thinner near the tip. Or sa dulo niya, manipis siya, and sa bungad niya, dito sa may malapit sa hub, sa pinakagitna niya, doon siya pinakamakapal. Why is that? Because wind speed is not uniform along the blade length. Near the center, mas mabagal ang hangin, and near the tip, mas mabilis naman ang hangin. The twist ensures that each section of the blade meets the wind at a correct angle for maximum lift and minimum drag. This brings us to the angle of attack. Angle of attack is the angle between the direction of the wind and the chord line of the blade itself. If the angle is too small, the lift will be too weak. And if it is too large, it could stall, it will have turbulences, and it will lose efficiency. So, modern wind turbines are usually equipped with pitch control systems na para i-adjust yung blade itself depending on the wind speed. Like, Kumbaga parang nag-a-adjust siya ng kusa, parang kung ganito siya, depende sa wind speed, medyo nag-a-adjust siya ng gano'n. Nagtutwist siya automatically. So, in short, the blade itself constantly adjusts and parang nag-a-adapt siya sa mood ng hangin. Now about wind direction and blade orientation. Wind doesn't always come from one direction eh. Minsan sa kanan, minsan sa kaliwa, minsan north, south, east, west, gano'n. That's why wind turbines have a yaw system. The yaw system rotates the nozzle itself so that yung blade nito, it always faces directly into the wind. The importance of this is it gives proper wind alignment for maximum lift. Poor alignment kasi, it results into less power and more stress dun sa blades. So, windmills natin, they use wind sensors continuously to measure wind direction and speed, allowing the turbine to reposition itself automatically. Now, all the rotation produced by the blade's aerodynamics are transferred into the rotor, the shaft, sometimes into a gearbox first, sometimes not. There are gearless windmills sometimes, and finally into the generator itself. So even though my focus is on the blades, everything in the wind turbine depends on how efficiently the blade captures the wind energy. Because no lift means no rotation, and no rotation means no electricity. What's fascinating is that wind turbine blades use the same physics that allows birds to fly and airplanes to soar. By simply shaping a blade correctly and aligning it with the wind, we can turn invisible air into usable energy, and that's the beauty of wind turbines. They don't overpower nature, they work with it.
Good day everyone. Let's clear up a common mystery about the rotation in the wind turbines. If you look closely at the turbine blade, it seems like an airplane wings, what we call an airfoil. The big question is the blade pushed toward the side with a more curve or the side with a less curve? The answer is that the blade is actually pushed and pulled toward with the side with a more curve. At the first, it sounds a bit strange, diba? Kasi naturally, iisipin natin na dapat itulak ng hangin slightly concave side or flat side. In aerodynamics, the blade has to actually chase the curve because of the principle, what we call leap force. When the wind hits the blade, it split. The air traveling over the more curved side has a longer path to take, so it has to move much faster to meet the air on the other side. According to Bernoulli principle, when the air moves faster, pressure drops so that the curved side nagkakaroon ng low pressure zone. Isipin nyo na parang vacuum na humihigop sa blade. Meanwhile, on the flatter side or less curved, the air moves slower, creating high pressure. Dahil ang high pressure ay lang yung tinutulak yung mga bagay na pupunta sa low pressure. The pressure squeezes the flat side and pulls the curved side at the same time. This resulting force is what we call leap force because the blades are fixed to the center hub. Hindi sila pwedeng lipad palayo, kaya yung tulak na ito ay nagiging rotational motion. In short, the wind doesn't just hit the turbine like a wall. It's just like a specific curve to trick the air into pulling the blades around with which eventually spin the generator to create electricity. So always remember, the blades moves toward to the curve. The next one is the wind turbine blade designs. When you observe, hindi lang sila basta-basta mahabang blade. They have a very specific, tapered, and twisted shape. The most important things to understand is that a blade turbine is an airfoil, which is the same technology used in the wings on an airplane. This design allows turbine to capture energy efficiently. Ang main goal dito is to maximize lift force and minimizing the drag force para kahit hindi sobrang lakas ng hangin, kaya umikot ng wind turbine na ito. The core of this design is a symmetrical curve. If you look at the cross-section of the blade, one side is more curved than the other one. As a wind flow over the blade is as travel faster over the curved surface, creating a low pressure zone. Meanwhile, the air under the flatter side moves slower, creating high pressure, since high pressure always push Toward lower pressure, the blade is lifted into the motion. Sa madaling salita, the blade is actually being pulled toward the direction of the more curved side. Isipin nyo na parang may vacuum sa harap na blade na laging humihigop dito para umikot ang wind turbine. We might also notice na ang blade ay twisted mula sa base hanggang sa tip. This is not for aesthetic. The tip of the blade moves much faster through the air than the part near the central hub. If the blade were flat all the way, the wind would hit the different part of the blade at the wrong angles. By twisting the blade, we ensure the angle of attack o yung angulo kung paano tinatamaan ng hangin ang blade is a perfect at the very point along its length. This ensures a consistent push and prevent the blade from stalling. Lastly, let's look at the tapered shape, where the blade is thick at the root and very thin at the tip. The base needs to be thick because it carries all the structural stress, but the tip needs to be thin to reduce o yung magulong hangin na pwedeng magpabagal sa ikot. By combining the airfoil shape, the twist, and the taper, the turbine become a masterpiece of engineering na kayang convert ang simpleng hangin into electricity. So, always remember, bawat kurbada at twist ng blade na iyan ay may mahalagang trabaho para maging efficient ang energy production natin. Let's settle a very common question. Bakit nga ba laging tatlo ang blade ng wind turbine? Bakit hindi dalawa para mas mura o 10 para mas marami sumasalo ng hangin? In the world of engineering, the 3-blade design is considered the perfect balance when you consider efficiency, cost, and stability. While it might seem simple, choosing the number of blades is actually a complex game of physics and economics. If we look at efficiency, technically, adding more blade catches more wind, pero nagkakaroon tayo ng diminishing returns. Kapag masyadong maraming blade, bawat isa ay gumagawa ng sarili magulong hangin. This dirty air interferes with the blade behind it, making the turbine less efficient. On the other hand, 1 or 2 blade turbine is very efficient and cheaper to build. Pero ang laking problema na to sa stability. Because of something called gyroscopic force, kapag umikot ang 2 turbine at umarap ito sa ibang direksyon, nagkakaroon ng sobrang laking stress sa main shaft. Para naging wobbly, this is caused the turbine to vibrate and eventually break down, which is a nightmare for maintenance and operation. By using 3-blade, we solve the stability issue. A 3-blade setup provides a moment of inertia, meaning kahit saan man nakaturo ang mga blade habang umiikot, balanse ang mga bigat at persa naramdaman ng turbine tower. It's much smoother from the construction and cost perspective. Adding a 4th or 5th blade would make the turbine much heavier and more expensive without giving us a significant boost in electricity. Kaya, 3 is the magic number, stable enough for the last 20 to 25 years, quiet enough for the environment, and efficient enough to make the investment worth it. So in summary, we choose 3-blade not because of its only way, but its optimal middle ground between capturing the most energy and making sure the machine doesn't shake itself apart. It's all about finding the perfect balance between physics and the cost of the turbine.
So first, let's talk about the rule of thumb when it comes to wind turbine blades. First rule, based on the slide, the fewer blades, the better. Ibig sabihin lang nito, kapag konti ang blades, mas konti ang drag or resistance sa hangin. Kapag mababa ang drag, mas mabilis umikot ang turbine. And this leads to higher efficiency. Kaya mas effective siyang mag-convert ng wind energy into mechanical or electrical energy. Second rule is the number of blades affects torque and rotation speed. Kapag mas maraming blades, mas mataas ang torque. Torque is the turning force ng turbine. This is useful lalo na sa low wind speed areas dahil mas madali siyang magsimulang umikot. Pero ang downside nito, kapag maraming blades, bumabagal ang optimum rotation speed. Ibig sabihin, kahit malakas ang hangin, hindi siya ganoon kabilis umikot kumpara sa turbine na may mas kaunting blades. Third rule is, having fewer blades reduces drag. Simple lang ito. Mas kaunting blades, mas kaunting surface area na tinatama ng hangin. Kaya mas smooth ang ikot. Mas stable ang speed at mas efficient ang power generation. Now, you might ask, bakit 3 blades ang pinaka-common na design ng modern wind turbines? Because 3 blades is the best balance between efficiency, torque, stability, and noise control. Hindi siya masyadong mabagal tulad ng maraming blades at hindi rin siya masyadong unstable tulad ng 1 or 2 blades. Kaya ito ang ideal design for large-scale power generation. In summary, fewer blades, less drag, and higher efficiency. And more blades, higher torque, but slower rotation speed. And 3-bladed turbines ang pinaka-practical at widely used today. That's why understanding the number of blades is very important in designing efficient wind turbines for a renewable energy system. Now, unahin natin ang wind turbine na may 1 blade. Ang advantage ng 1 blade turbine ay mababa ang drag. Drag means resistant ng hangin dahil sa ibang blade lang ang tinatamaan ng hangin. Mas madaling umikot ang turbine at mas mataas ang energy yield or power output. Pero kahit mataas ang energy yield, mas malaking problema ang 1 blade turbine at ito yung ang balance. Dahil iisa lang ang blade, nagiging unbalance ang turbine habang umiikot. Nagkakaroon ng vibration, shaking, stress sa structure ng turbine. Ito ay delikado at pwedeng makasira ng makina sa long-term use. Kaya kahit efficient siya, in theory, hindi ito practical at hindi stable para sa real-world application. So, kaya nga nasabi ko, 1 blade, less drag and high energy, but poor balance and low stability. Now, let's talk about wind turbine with 2 blades. Sa unang tingin, parang ito na ang pinaka-okay na design. Balance siya kumpara sa 1 blade at dahil 2 blades lang, mas konti ang drag kumpara sa 3 blades. Ibig sabihin, mas mabilis siyang umiikot at nakaka-produce ng energy efficiently. Pero may problem ang 2 blades pagdating sa yawing. Ang yaw ay ang pag-ikot ng head or nozzle ng turbine para humarap sa direksyon ng hangin. Dahil sa effect na tinatawag na gyroscopic precession, kapag nag-yaw ang 2-blade turbine, nagkakaroon ng wobble or pagkugal ng blades habang nagbabago sila ng direksyon mula vertical position papuntang horizontal position. Ang wobbling na ito ay nagdudulot ng extra stress sa bearings at mabilis nitong nasisira ang mga parts at higher maintenance. Mas mababang durability din pagka 2-blade wind turbine. Kaya kahit efficient ang 2 blades at balance siya, hindi pa rin siya ideal dahil sa wobbling at mechanical stress. Now, let's talk about a wind turbine with more than 3 blades. Kapag mas maraming blades ang turbine, mas malaki ang wind resistance or drag. Ibig sabihin, mas maraming surface ang tinatamaan ng hangin, kaya mas bumabagal ang ikot ng turbine. Dahil mabagal ang ikot, mas mababa ang efficiency sa pag-generate ng electricity. Kahit mukhang malakas ang hatak ng hangin, hindi ito optimal dahil sobra ang drag. Ang ganitong design ay ginagamit lang or makikita lang sa water pumping, old windmill, o mga lumang windmills, and low-speed applications. Pero para sa modern electric power generation, hindi efficient ang 3 blades o more than 3 blades. In short, more than 3 blades turbine is more drag, slower rotation, and lower efficiency. Lastly, let's talk about the most common design, which is the three-blade wind turbine. Ang three-blade turbine ang pinaka-ideal na design dahil ito ang best compromise between high energy yield, good balance, stability, and durability. So, bakit nga ba? Hindi ito masyadong mabagal tulad ng maraming blades at hindi rin masyadong unstable tulad ng 1 or 2 blades. Kaya halos lahat ng modern wind turbines na nakakita natin today ay three-bladed turbines. In short, three blades, best balance of efficiency, stability, and durability. Now, let's move on in wind turbine parts and function. First, let's talk about the first part is the blade tilting mechanism. Habang nagbabago ang wind speed, nagbabago rin syempre ang direction at angle ng hangin na tumatama sa blades. Ibig sabihin, hindi palagi pareho ang lakas at angle ng hangin. Dito pumapasok ang role ng blade tilting mechanism. Ang blade tilting mechanism ay isang system na may sensors at mechanical parts na nag-a-adjust ng position ng blades. Ito ang nagpapahintulot sa blades na mag-tilt or magbago ng angle depende sa lakas at bilis ng hangin. Ang main purpose nito ay para ma-align ang blade sa relative velocity ng wind. Relative velocity means kung papaano talaga tinatamaan ng hangin ang blade habang umiikot ito. Ginagawa nito na ang blade ay laging nasa optimum angle of the attack. Kumbaga, laging nakaharap yung wind turbine sa hangin. Ang angle of attack ay ang tamang angle kung saan pinaka-epektibo ang blade sa pagkuha ng energy mula sa hangin. Kapag tama ang angle of attack, mas nagiging efficient ang turbine and mas nagiging smooth ang pag-ikot, mas marami din energy ang napoproduce. Kung masyadong malakas ang hangin, ang blade tilting mechanism ay nag-a-adjust para hindi masira ang wind turbine. At kung mahina naman ang hangin, ina-adjust din nito ang blades para mas makahuli ng hangin ang turbine. Now let's move on to the second part, which is the nacelle. Ang nacelle ay ang housing or casing na nasa likod ng blades. Usually nasa tuktok ng tower. Ito yung parang engine room ng wind turbine. Sa loob ng nacelle, makikita natin ang mga importanteng parts tulad ng slow speed shaft, gearbox, and generator. And meron din itong mga iba't ibang small mechanical and electrical parts. Ang slow speed shaft ang tumatanggap ng rotation mula sa blades. Pagkatapos, ipapasa ito sa gearbox na nagpapabilis ng ikot. Then, ang generator ang nagko-convert ng mechanical energy into electrical energy. Bukod sa paglalaman ng mga parts, ang nacelle ay function din na protektahan ng mga components laban sa ulan, malalakas na hangin, alikabok, at init na gagaling sa araw, pati na rin sa mga ibang weather conditions. Ibig sabihin, ang nacelle ay hindi lang lalagyan ng parts, kundi isang protective cover din para sa buong system.
So moving on to the next component of the wind turbine, we have the gearbox. So gearbox essentially means the component of the wind turbine which convert slow rotation of the blade into a faster rate. So yun yung mismong function kung bakit meron tayong gearbox. Kino-convert niya yung slow rotation ng blade into a faster rate. So yung example nito, kung meron tayong 20 revolution per minute input ng mismong rotor, makakapag-produce tayo ng let's say around 2,100 revolution per minute sa generator side. And paano to nangyayari? Kasi dumadaan ito sa mismong gearbox kung saan ito yung nag-amplified or para nag-scaled up nung rotation ng blade papunta sa generator. Kaya produce tayo ng output na mas marami or scaled version ng input natin sa rotor. So, yung feasible requirements ng wind turbine when it comes to the gearbox is around 1,500 to 1,800 revolution per minute, which is equivalent to 50 Hertz to 60 Hertz respectively. Meaning, around 50 cycle or 60 cycle per seconds. And then, common ratio naman ng generator to rotor or output to input is 90:1. Meaning, 90 times na mas malaki yung napupunta sa output compared to the initial. And then, common ratio naman ng input. So, paano natin ma-achieve yung ganito? For example, yung usual standard is to have 16.7 revolution per minute input sa rotor and then 1,500 revolution per minute when it comes to the generator side. So, when doing so, makakapag-achieve tayo ng 90:1 ratio when it comes to generator to rotor. So, bakit naman natin ginagawa yun? Kasi nga, para ma-achieve natin yung grid quality voltage or yung stable voltage supply. And next component or alternative component yung tawag dito, ito naman yung permanent magnet direct drives. So, sa permanent magnet direct drive naman, gumagamit ito ng magnetic induction para makapag-produce ng electricity. So, nakakabit yung magnet around the circulating loop sa system ng wind turbine and then dadaan dun yung electricity. Nakapag-produce siya ng electricity or makapag-capture siya ng electricity. And ano naman yung advantages and disadvantages ng component na to? Kasi sa gearbox, usually, di ba, merong interaction between pieces, especially sa mga gear na component. So, ngayon, makakapag-produce to ng mechanical work. So, sa mechanical work na yun, hindi naman 100% efficient yung any system kasi meron tayong mga losses. So, ibig sabihin, kung may interaction ng gears between components, makakapag-produce yun ng mechanical loss or mga vibration and noises. So, yun yung pinaprevent natin or nire-reduce natin para ma-maximize natin yung energy capturing mechanism natin. So, like for example, yung friction, pwede rin yung maka-apekto sa main component. Pagka may friction, mechanical noises, and then vibration, pwede ma-damage nun yung mismong system natin or yung loob ng system ng mismong wind turbine. And then, therefore, mas madalas yung maintenance natin, mas mahal yung maintenance natin kasi pwedeng i-repair natin or possible na i-repair pa natin yung nasa loob ng mga component kasi nga may damage na sila. Well, when it comes to the permanent magnet direct drive naman, wala nang presence of gears usually. So, meaning nito, wala nang masyadong mechanical loss or losses in energy due to friction or stresses ng mga components sila. Thereby, maximizing the energy capturing mechanism and then minimizing some energy losses. So, ano naman yung disadvantages ng permanent magnet direct drive? Bakit minsan mas preferred natin yung standard standard wind turbine na design. Kasi nga, pagka naman permanent magnet direct drive, mas malaki yung na-occupied na diameter ng mismong wind turbine natin. Kasi nga, naka-incirculate yung mismong magnet dun sa loob ng wind turbine, and thereby, hindi natin basta-basta pwedeng i-minimize yung volume ng wind turbine. So, ayun. Kaya, minsan ginagamit yung permanent magnet direct drive, and pwede rin naman gamitin yung gear-driven system or yung may gearbox. So, saan nga ba ideal yung permanent magnet direct drive? Ito ay ideal sa mga offshore or yung malayo sa tabing dagat. Doon ginagamit usually yung mga permanent magnet direct drive. While in comparison, yun namang gearboxes or yung may gearbox, ginagamit naman sila sa mga wind turbine kung saan malapit sila sa tabing dagat kasi mamamaximize nila doon yung wind capture or yung dadaan na hangin sa mismong blades ng wind turbine. And then, next component of the wind turbine, we have the yaw system. So, ano naman yung main function ng yaw system? So, yung yaw system naman, ito yung pinaka-sensory equipped mechanism or component ng wind turbine natin. Ano yung meaning nun? So, meaning lang nun, siya yung sensory system or component ng turbine natin para ma-sensor niya or magro-rotate siya automatically kung saan maximum na dumadaan yung wind. So, ibig sabihin lang nun, yung direction ng mismong wind, siya yung automatically na naghaharap doon. Parang di ba kumpara sa sunflower, pagka yung sunflower, umiikot yun or nagro-rotate yung mismong phases ng flower to receive maximum output of the sun. Same analogy or synonymously, nag-apply yun sa component na yaw system. Yun yung pinakaano niya. Hinaharap niya automatically kung saan man yung direction ng wind. And then next one, we have the vane or yung wind vane. So, yung wind vane naman, ito yung determine kung saan yung direction ng wind. Kasi di ba, kung meron tayong yaw system na nag-automatically rotate to the actual direction of the wind, meron dapat tayong sensor or indicators kung saan yung direction ng wind. Kasi kung hindi, mawawalan ng sense of direction yung mismong wind turbine natin to rotate automatically dependent sa wind direction. So, yun yung purpose naman kung bakit meron tayong wind vane. So that, meron tayong guidance. Yung mismong wind turbine, may guidance siya kung saan yung direction ng wind. And then, last one, we have the brake or brake system. So, brake system naman. Bakit kailangan natin to? Or ano yung function ng brake system when it comes to the wind turbine? So, yung brake system, from the word itself, parang brake, di ba? Pagka sinabi natin brake, pwedeng stop or sa mga car, kasi sinabi natin brake, ito yung parang emergency stopping mechanism nila. So, synonymously, halos ganun din yung mismo functionality ng brake system when it comes to wind turbine. Yun yung nag-act as a mechanism for stop or emergency stopping mechanism niya. Meaning, pagka nakapag-detect ng mga sudden changes or malfunction or unusual or pwede rin namang for maintenance, ginagamit natin yung brake system to accommodate such events or scenarios. So, kaya naman kailangan natin yung brake system para For example, nga kanina, poor maintenance. Or pwede rin naman sa mga sudden weather condition kung saan. Like for example, mga bagyo or sobrang lakas ng bagyo. Kaya kailangan nating emergency stop yung mismong component or yung wind turbine natin.
Now, let's proceed to the wind turbines tower. So ano nga ba ang wind turbines tower? A wind turbine tower is a vertical structure, typically constructed from tubular steel or lattice, designed to hold the nacelle, the rotor, and the blades aloft. By elevating these components, the tower allows the turbine to access more powerful and steady wind currents found at higher altitudes, which significantly boosts its overall energy output. Now, it states here that wind velocity increases at higher altitude. This means that taller the tower, the greater electricity it can produce. Sa madaling salita, habang tumataas, mas lumalakas at mas bumibilis ang hangin. So it is logical that the taller the tower, the more electricity it can produce. Mas mataas, mas maraming energy ang mahatak ng mga wind turbines mula sa hangin. Next, it states here that majority of wind turbines are supported by conical tubular steel towers with a height of usually 75 to 110 meters or 230 to 370 feet, depending on the blade's diameter. So what does this mean? Ang mga tower daw ngayon ay hugis apa. Mas malaki ang diameter sa baba kumpara sa taas, and the main reason is to save and minimize the cost, and ang usual height is 75 to 110 meters. And lastly, we have a fun fact here or trivia. Noong mid-2022, nakumpleto ang pinakamataas na turbine sa buong mundo. Umabot ito ng 280 meters at matatagpuan ito sa isang test center sa Western Jutland, Denmark. And isipin nyo, halos kasing tangkad na ito ng mga skyscrapers. Now, let's learn the evolution of the average utility scale turbine. Makikita natin sa graph na ito kung paano lumalaki ang mga turbines over the years. If we're going to notice, kitang-kita ang growth simula noong year 2000 hanggang 2018. Habang tumatagal, pataas ng pataas ang hub height at palaki ng palaki ang rotor diameter ng mga turbines. Mula sa height na 58 meters noong year 2000, umakyat na ito sa average na 88 meters noong 2018. Kasabay nito ang paglaki ng rotor diameter mula sa 48 meters hanggang 116 meters na nagpapatunay na habang tumatagal, mas nagiging dambuhala at mas powerful ang ating mga wind turbines. So bakit nga ba ito natin nasasabi or bakit nga ba ito mahalaga? Lately, we knew that wind velocity increases at higher altitude. Dahil mas matatangkad na ang towers ngayon, mas nalalaman na nila na mas malakas ang hangin sa itaas, kaya mas efficient na sila ngayon sa pag-produce ng kuryente kumpara noong nakaraang 2 dekada. Now, let's move on with the ideal location of a wind turbine. Sabi dito, the best places for wind farms are in coastal areas, at the tops of rounded hills, open plains, and gaps in mountains. Places where the wind is strong and reliable. Some are offshore. Sa madaling salita, hindi pwedeng basta-basta lamang tayo magtayo ng isang wind farm. Kailangan natin hanapin ang ideal location. So, saan nga ba maganda maglagay? Ang best places daw ay yung mga coastal areas or mga tabing dagat, sa tops of rounded hills, sa mga open plains or kapatagan, at sa mga gaps in mountains. Bakit dito? Kasi ito yung mga lugar kung saan ang hangin ay strong and reliable. Ibig sabihin, hindi lang malakas kung hindi tuloy-tuloy pa. May mga wind farms din na located offshore o yung mga nakatayo mismo sa gitna ng dagat. Ngayon, ilan nga ba ang standard kilometer per hour ng wind speed in order for a wind turbine to be built? Para masabing worthwhile o sulit ang pagpapatayo ng wind farm, kailangan ng average wind speed sa area ay mga nasa 25 km per hour. Kapag mas mababa pa dyan, baka hindi sapat ang maproduce sa kuryente, and kapag kulang ang maisupply, possible na hindi. Let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages. Siyempre, Gaya ng lahat ng technology, mayroon itong pros and cons. For the advantages, number 1, wind is free. Wind farms need no fuel. Number 2, produce no waste or greenhouse gases. Number 3, the land beneath can usually still be used for farming. And number 4, a good method of supplying energy to remote areas. So, it states on the first that libre ang hangin. Wala rin tayong binabayarang fuel dito. Hindi gaya ng coal or ng mga gas plants na kailangan bumili ng mga panggatong. Ang sabi dito, ang hangin ay libre at ito ay binibigay ng ating kalikasan. That's why it is the advantage of the wind turbine. Next is, wind turbines are eco-friendly. Clean energy ito because it produces no waste or greenhouse gases. Kaya malaki ang tulong nito para labanan ang climate change. Next is the dual purpose of the land. Yung mga lupa sa ilalim ng mga towers ay usually still used for farming. So, pwede magtanim or mag-alaga ng hayop sa paligid nito. Therefore, hindi sayang ang space. And sa pang-apat or sa last, it is very effective way of supplying power to remote areas o yung mga probinsyang malalayo at mahirap abutan ng grid ng kuryente. So, for the disadvantages naman, sabi dito, number 1, the wind is unpredictable. It changes speed throughout the day from season to season. Number 2, suitable areas for wind farms are often near the coastal area where land is expensive. And last, number 3, can affect television reception on nearby places. So, sabi dito sa first, ang predictable ang hangin, oo nga naman. Ang hangin ay hindi natin kontrolado at ito ay pabago-bago. It changes speed throughout the day at nagbabago rin depende sa season. Minsan malakas, minsan mahina. Sa pangalawa, sabi dito, yung cost ng land is mahal. Sabi nga natin kanina, ideal ang coastal areas, kaya lang ang problema. Ang mga lupa na malapit sa dagat ay mahal. And lastly is, minsan nagkakaroon ng interference o nagiging malabo ang signal ng TV sa mga kalapit na bahay ng mga wind turbine.
Pagdating sa energy transition, ang wind power ay hindi lang isang alternative, it is now primarily solution. Bakit? Dahil sa dalawang mahalagang katangian nito, scalability at reliability. Ibig sabihin, kaya nating i-expand ang wind farm depende sa demand at sa tamang design at location. Nakukuha tayo ng stable na supply ng kuryente. Today, we will look at 6 giants of world, how the Philippines fit into green future. Bago tayo mag-dive in sa details, tingnan muna natin ang ranking ng mga dambuhalang wind farms na ito base sa kanilang installed capacity, measured in megawatts. Ito ang kanilang target capacity na nagpapatunay kung gaano ka-scalable ang mga projects na ito. Ngayon, explain natin kung bakit sila naging world class. Una, ang Gansu Wind Farm. Ito ang pinamalaki sa buong mundo na matatagpuan ito sa Gobi Desert, northwestern China. Binubuo ito ng libo-libong turbines na kaya mag-supply ng kuryente sa milyong-milyong tao. Ang lesson dito ay extreme scalability. Pinatunayan ng China na kayang palakiin ng wind farm para tapatan ang output ng mga traditional coal plants. Pangalawa ay ang Alta Wind Energy Center. Nasa California, USA ito. Ang location nito ay isang mountain pass kung saan mas mabilis ang daloy ng hangin. Dahil sa strategic location na ito, naging napaka-reliable ito para sa kuryente ng buong state ng California. Pangatlo ay ang Pandal Wind Farm. Ang key dito ay meteorological strategy. Ginagamit nila ang malakas na monsoon winds sa southern India. Pinapakita nito na kapag alam mo ang pattern ng hangin ng sa iyong location, mas mataas ang energy yield na makukuha mo. Pang-apat ay ang Hornsea Project 1. Matatagpuan ito sa UK. Ito ay isang offshore wind farm. Ibig sabihin, nakatayo ito sa gitna ng dagat. Malaga ito sa future energy system dahil mas malakas at mas stable ang hangin sa open sea kaysa sa lupa. Pangalima, ang Mark by Den Wind Farm. Matatagpuan ito sa Sweden. May target capacity na 4,000 megawatts. Ang significant nito ay magpapatunay na wind energy ay reliable kahit sa malamig na klima o Arctic condition ng Northern Europe.
Pang-anim ay ang Hasaimal Wind Park. Ito ay matatagpuan sa India. Binubuo ito ng iba-ibang cluster. Ang key takeaway dito ay ang industrial integration, ang pagsama-sama ng ibang turbines para magbigay ng kuryente sa malalaking industriya sa India. Turning our attention closer to home, ang Burgos Wind Farm ang ating pambato. Bagamat 150 megawatts lang ang capacity nito kumpara sa libo-libong megawatts ng Gansu, ito ang pinamalaki sa Southeast Asia. Bakit success story? Dahil sa optimal design at location nito. Pinili ang Burgos dahil sa malakas ng hangin mula sa dagat at ang 50 turbines nito ay malaking tulong sa stability ng ating local grid sa Luzon o mas kilala na Luzon Grid. Pinapatunayan nito na kahit sa bansa nating madalas naman ang bagyo, ang wind power ay isang matatag at reliable na source ng energy. To conclude, ang mga wind farms na ito ay patunay na renewable energy ang ating kinabukasan. Scalability, dahil kayang i-expand ang mga wind farms habang lumalaki ang demand ng ating mga syudad. Reliability, basta tama ang pagkaka-engineer sa location at design, sigurado ang supply na malinis na kuryente. Wind energy is an essential part of our future energy system. Sana sa presentasyon na ito, mas maintindihan ninyo na simpleng hangin kapag ginamitan ng tamang teknolohiya ay kaya magbigay ng liwanag sa buong mundo.